Okay, welcome back to another episode of
Welcome Home with the Cartwrights.
I said the Cartwrights. Welcome home with the Cartwrights.
You had a few drinks before you came.
No,
today.
I didn't actually. We should have had a few drinks here. We're really excited for today's episode. We've got Jason and Steph here. Guys, welcome. Thank you.
Thanks
for having
so
us.
much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
This is our second podcast, right?
They call it our third.
The third, because the
but-
intro. But
yeah.
this is really our second, so we're really honored to have you guys. We're really excited to just talk today, you guys have a pretty interesting story, right? Like, and you might not think it is, but yeah, I think there's definitely parts of it that are very interesting, and that's kind of what we wanted to go over is just the buying, so we've talked about our show's going to be all about,
Sure.
and one of the things is, talking to buyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So talking to the process and, and especially for you guys you'd done it a while ago, then you took a break and then you came back into it, right? And now we're full on COVID, right?
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, and I think that we should also talk about how we all met, right?
oh. Yeah.
Isn't it
Well, how
interesting?
we met.
Yeah.
I know.
And sometimes
I was gonna say,
I know.
I know,
You
but
really made that sound.
I love
Like how we
I
all
love
met.
that. I love
There was
that
a star
Steph
on
and
our
I
door.
traveled across the world to meet each other,
All the way to Bali.
all the way to Bali for a
Right.
yoga retreat, which was so incredible.
And it was really for
And really, it was
Jason
just
I
for
know.
the two of
meet,
you
right?
to find your way to
It
each
was-
other,
It was
right?
just a vehicle for Chris and I to meet. Because somewhere there was fate happening. And we knew that, I think, within 30 seconds of meeting each other.
That's
exactly.
right?
And he's very excited to be back. I'm like whispering into the microphone like you
As
can't
if
hear
he's
me.
not here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm right
Yeah.
beside you.
He's very excited.
And then you guys decided that you wanted to buy, and I said, well, you got to meet Chris and see if he's your guy. And so that was awesome that you reached out because
We didn't
talked
really
about-
check out anyone else.
Oh,
when we met Chris,
amazing.
it was like,
And you must get a lot of work that way just by referrals and word of mouth and stuff like that, too. correct?
That's majority
Yeah.
of it, yeah. We obviously do other things, advertising and whatever, but
We're doing it right now.
yeah, and then now, we do things like this. But this, the idea of this show was not to, and I don't want you guys to go, oh, you're the best. I know I'm the best. No, I'm just kidding. But I want to hear your experience, exactly how.
Oh,
it
I've
is.
got a list of things that I really was upset with. So don't you worry.
And the idea
I had
is.
notes I took. It took me like 20 minutes prep time. We're all good.
Love it. Love
We only
the
have an
free
hour.
time.
But okay, so let's just kind of dive into it. You guys, you're not first-time home buyers, although I think the government considers you.
Oh,
a
thank
first-time
you.
home
they
buyer.
did.
Exactly.
It had been so long.
Exactly. So
Oh, okay.
right. So let's talk not about that part, but you owned a house. I think you guys were in Toronto,
Yeah.
right? And when was that? How long ago?
So our youngest son was born into that house. So it's 18 years ago. We had bought probably 2 years before that in the Danforth area of Toronto. And that's where was our first home. My dad actually lived in the States, but he wanted to come back up.
Yeah.
And he said, I want to retire up in Ontario. I need a kind of a place to live. Let's look for a house that has something in the basement where I can crash every once in a while. So and he helped us with a down payment, as happens with obviously a lot of young couples. But it turned out, so we found this place, tiny semi on the Danforth, but it's all we needed for the first couple of years that we were there.
Exactly.
And it turned out my dad didn't like staying there, and they ended up getting an apartment somewhere else. And we were like, all right,
We
even better.
visited like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
I was like, yes, we have a finished house.
exactly. But yeah,
So you didn't rent it out. You're like, no, we want
we
this
got
space.
the space because it was like a finished basement with a bathroom. And
Yeah.
stuff. It's a perfect thing. And then, like the story continues, the journey quite continues. So when we had Hudson, our first son, who's now 18 years old, just coming home from university tomorrow, which we're very happy about.
Oh, that's awesome. 2 weeks.
But yeah, he's home for I think 3 he's got, but he'll
Oh.
probably go back.
Yeah.
He'll be like done
Oh,
after
yeah.
10 days.
2 weeks enough. I gotta go back.
Yeah.
And then at some point, we were like lying in bed one night saying, okay, I guess we should start looking for our next house. Like we've been here for 4 years.
No, we didn't, darling.
Oh yeah. This is...
We were lying in bed in the middle of the night and we were so busy working. We had this beautiful baby boy, but we had a full-time her
Nanny.
bringing up our son, and we were like crazy, passing each other in the night. And then it was in the middle of the night. It was like, you know, we woke up in the middle of the night, 2:00 in the morning, and we were like, let's do something different. What happens if we sell our house?
Yeah, but in contrast to that, it was like, okay, I guess our next possible step is to kind of upgrade our house and have another kid.
Yeah, like that was one of the options.
Yeah, it was like,
you
exactly.
considered.
And it was kind of the natural progression.
That's like Steph's. I don't think so.
Exactly. But, so, let's just agree we're lying about it now.
This is good, guys. Keep going. We turn this into like a Jerry Springer show.
I know, exactly.
Yeah, just do your thing. We'll sit quietly over
But
here.
it was at the time when the market was crazy. So we
No, it
put-
was at the very, very beginning of the kind of the market at that point,
Yeah.
right? And so we got an agent in Toronto just to come in and assess, basically say where we are. We know what we bought for, and he was like, you know, there's nothing really exciting about this house. If you put a little work into it, let me know and I'll come back. He was a pretty well-known agent in the area. So we did the windows, did the kind of floor, did some kind of really core stuff, and he came back and he's like, okay, now I'm a bit excited about this. And it really was on the cusp of Toronto just exploding.
Yeah.
Right? So we made the decision of saying, okay, we're going to sell, and the whole plan was quit our jobs, sell our house, and travel somewhere with our 2.5-year-old son. So
But the house sold in like a week.
Yeah.
So it
it accelerated our timeline very much.
really
Wow.
quickly.
Yeah.
So when we decided to do Australasia, so we're in Fiji, New Zealand, and Australia for about 11
Wow.
months with a 2.5, then 3.5 times. So
We barely think about leaving the house. We only had a 2.5. Honestly, we were like, no, let's not go out. Let's not do anything. Like, you guys
That
just
is
go,
adventurous.
just go across the world. No big
it
deal.
was crazy though, because like all of our parents were saying, you're crazy, don't do this, you know, you have to be responsible, you have a baby. And then, you know, other people were like, well, why don't you rent out your house so you'll have something to come back to? And we were like, nah,
No,
let's
we were
go, we
cutting the
won't spend it
cord.
all,
Just
let's travel.
get it done. You already put the work into the house.
Yeah.
You did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
and we were like thinking about emigrating to New Zealand. We even had that in the books too. And
Yeah.
my mother wrote me like a 5-page letter saying, how can you take my grandson away from me? It was like, holy Mom, just lay out the drama. And but then we did it, and then we and had a fantastic time. Like which beach,
No regrets.
Which beach do you want to go to today?
Yeah.
I wrote a book. Steph volunteered at a flower shop like the whole time. Like it was literally like that. And the connection to our firstborn at that time was something you're
amazing,
never gonna
right?
get back.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly.
Very shy kid.
Yeah.
Kind of weaved around our legs the entire time, but kind of eventually met some friends. And traveling with a infant is different than traveling just as a couple, because families take you in. They literally took us in, introduced us to all the kind of local stuff, because we bounced around at many different places the entire time. But 2 core places where we stayed for a couple of months each. So we grounded, we met some families, we got into the culture of New Zealand, which is not dissimilar to Canadians. Kind of the same kind of relationship between Canada and US as Australia and New Zealand. I always find that very interesting. But we ran out of money and we had to come back.
And I was like
and
6
she was
months
pregnant.
Oh,
Exactly.
there we go.
So
How long was this? So you sold your house,
Yeah, a year.
and
Total.
then a year from when you sold, or when you moved out, you were there for about a year.
yeah.
11 months. So probably from when we sold to coming back was probably 13 months or something.
Yeah. So then come back and
Were you nervous to come back? Were you sad? What
No,
was
excited because it turns out my sister was pregnant as well, and
Okay.
like around 2 weeks from when we became pregnant, so
Yeah.
we knew that we were gonna have kids close to the same age. But it was a life choice, like amazing experience. We don't regret it, but coming back, we've been renting ever since.
yeah.
So you know, and also living a great life because we still took family vacations. We had a great life, but we never chose to buy again until all of a sudden last year, right before Christmas, we're like, oh, maybe we should buy a house. Maybe it's now is the time.
We just chopped out
I know, I
7
took
years
it.
of our lives that we need to talk about.
I'm skipping ahead.
I know we only have an hour. I'm just trying to make this a
Fill
little
the time, honey.
That's
Stretch it out, as they say.
We can circle back. I'm just trying to like.
No,
you know.
I know. I know
what was the reason why you decided to rent all those years? Was
I
it
bet you
because
might
of the
thought
prices
it
of
The
was
the
more.
market?
market went crazy.
Exactly.
It went crazy. Like literally, I think we had our first house for maybe 3 years. It had jumped maybe 150, 160,000. By the time we came back, it had jumped again, like
Another
twice that amount. And we
30%,
were
yeah.
just like,
And when you came back, did you guys go back to Toronto, or
Yeah.
Well,
and
actually-
then you moved up to Aurora, or was it?
Eventually, so
Part of that
on the way back, yeah, exactly. Let me fill in the 7 years.
Did you-
ago.
okay, we're rewinding again. Go ahead, Jason.
But yeah, luckily my father was here, and we had found a place on just a rental because we knew we were going to be renting on the
Yeah.
way back. So my father found a place in my old neighborhood at Yonge and Lawrence in Toronto. So something where we were very familiar with and very comfortable with, and it turned out to be actually really really nice kind of tiny wartime bungalow
Nice.
that we ended up renting at a really good price for like almost 5 years, I think
Yeah.
it was. So.
Yeah.
So
Time goes fast.
I know,
Yeah.
exactly. Just
Oh,
screams
geez.
by.
Yeah.
So it had a live-in nanny suite. So we had a nanny because we had two young
Yeah.
boys at that time,
Yeah.
and then at that time the owner of that house wanted to move back, so we had to find another place, and we just rented a worse semi, like just a grimy kind of place for a year. We could hear everyone next to us. They had 5 kids or something like that. You could hear,
We
and
would
they-
talk to the family through the
through the,
firelight.
the fireplace, yeah. And they were nice enough and stuff like that, but it was an odd kind of situation, especially with our boys who, as you know, are growing now exponentially and very big, right? So they're not
There's a
big
weird
boys.
stigma with renting too. Like finally, I feel like we're home. And I think over the past few years, it's been like you're always in somebody else's home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was great at the time. You know, we would make everything home, make our kids feel great. But there's something now about owning again where it's
Yeah.
something you can build on. And it's
Yeah.
changed, I think, our sense of well-being and happiness for everyone.
Well, it's that, especially for you guys, when you rent and you're at a great place, bungalow, 5 years, and the landlord says, "Hey, sorry, I'm
I know.
just moving."
Yeah.
The rug
You
is
have
stuff.
nothing you can do there,
You
right?
can't.
Where,
You don't have a sense of control
No.
over things that you might want to do to the home.
Exactly.
and you don't want to do
Whatnot,
anything
and
because
why would you
it's
wanna
not
invest
yours
in it?
necessarily.
Yeah.
And if you
Yeah.
do, if it's their money, you're giving them money, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
There's no, absolutely.
But you still do it from a quality of life point of view, right? Like you
There's
know
still
you're going to live with
benefits.
it. You have to upgrade some things because you wanted to live in the place.
Absolutely.
Especially when originally in that place we knew it was going to be a little bit longer than like 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
So we kind of did little things to make it better. And Stephanie, great design eye, constantly trying to make things look good and stuff like that. So it was a struggle to rent, but at that time it was okay. And the kids they didn't know, right? So
Yeah.
at that point it wasn't a big deal. But the biggest shift was when after we moved from that semi is that my parents' friends owned a farm or rented a farm up near King City, so just off St. John's Side Road and stuff like that. And we had been there socially a number of times because they became our friends as well. And they were like, "Okay, we're moving to Mexico. Do you guys want to rent the farm up here?" And this was like we're in now Yonge and Lawrence, kind of hustle and bustle of Toronto, and we were like, "No way, forget it. You guys are crazy," stuff like that. And then it was again middle of the night. We're looking at each other. What the hell?
We got the
a
Exactly.
lot of things happen in the middle of the
Exactly.
night, right? Like,
A lot of house decisions.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, everything else but the house decision. Yeah, exactly. So,
so
Steph and I
funny.
said, "Do you think we should do that?" And then we asked the boys who were relatively young at that time, so like 12 and 8,
Yeah, 9 and 13.
9 and 13.
Yeah.
And they were like all for it. They had been to the farm too. It's like 67 acres of like
Yeah.
raw land.
Pretty
Like
fun.
I know for boys at that age, they were like,
run around and
hell
do whatever
yeah,
you
yeah.
want. Yeah.
So we said, okay, this is our big move from Toronto, which I was born and raised, and up to this very rural property with.
I think that's a big move.
It was. It was a 140-year-old farmhouse.
It's a completely
We don't do things
Hey,
small.
yeah, exactly.
No,
You literally.
This
we're
last
gonna,
year
now we're
was
just gonna go
smallest
across the
year.
world
Yeah.
to that. Now we're back, and forget about the city. We're going straight to the farm. We're not just getting the suburbia, or we're getting a farm. Like we're.
67 acres, let's do it.
No big
Yeah.
deal.
Well,
we got a ride on tractor and everything.
Oh,
Yeah,
what
exactly.
an incredible
That would be fun.
experience.
I know exactly.
That's
I lived
awesome.
at Yonge and Lawrence all my life. Now I'm on a tractor.
Like this is amazing.
And the biggest problem with the tractor to me, because it took an hour and a half to groom the land.
Yeah.
And I would
Just
have
the
there's a
5
nice little
acres.
cup holder there, and I put my beer in that. I put on
Oh,
a podcast
Yeah.
and just listen. But because of the tractor just
Shake
jumps,
the
it
beer?
just shakes the beer,
Yeah.
so it's just foaming.
Wow,
Exactly,
it's all over.
exactly. By the time I'm done, I'm like, there's nothing left.
You gotta drink
So,
it
exactly.
and hold it, the one arm.
Yeah, so that was a big shift for me personally, because I guess I'm Toronto born and raised and kind of coming up to this area and not sure what was going to happen. Again, it was a rental and
Now, did you guys commute downtown, or were you working from home at that point?
We both commuted, I think.
Yes, yeah.
I definitely was on GO Train. I'm a GO
Yeah.
Train guy
Yeah.
at that point. So I was driving from the farm to the Aurora Go, which is dicey in the winter. It was pretty sick some mornings. But and then, then the shift became as our sons became older, especially our eldest son. He was like, I can't see my friends, right?
Right.
Too far.
Yeah, every neighbor was at least a kilometer
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
So how long were you at the farm for?
2 years.
years.
2. Okay.
Good time.
It was, like I said,
That's probably enough.
and
Well, we would have stayed there. We loved
we
it.
loved
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it was very.
But I mean, with kids, like
Yeah,
I get that.
It's
like,
the kids. They get the priority.
I know they win.
And we kick them out.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
yeah.
And then
And then we have our own priorities.
but yeah, it was idyllic for a couple of years, definitely. About like I said, waking up, a wraparound porch, the sun coming across the kind of beautiful.
beautiful.
It was.
Oh,
We
yeah.
had friends up and everything like that. Like I had a full sports field, so kids were playing frisbee and everything like that. And but again, the decision to move to, and at that point we were thinking King City or Aurora.
Yep.
And then, but they both got involved in, or our eldest got involved in basketball, rep basketball in Aurora. So we were like, okay, this is our next chapter. And that's, I was going to say this before, we've kind of carved our lives into chapters of a book, right? Like this was the New Zealand chapter, or this was the Danforth chapter, this was the farm chapter, and now we entered the suburbia chapter.
Oh
right?
yeah. At night, you guys decide.
Yeah, exactly. At night, late at night, I'm writing it down, exactly. I got a big board, I'm whiteboarding, exactly. What's the
Right by
chapter?
the bed, just
That's
like,
right.
Listen, I
I'm
got
writing
an
the
idea.
first sentence of the chapter. But yeah, that's what drew us to kind of renting again, but finding kind of one of the newer homes at Bayview and Wellington and renting that. And then did that for
Just 1 year because again, it happened to us where they wanted to sell the house.
right after the year. So we thought, okay, we're here, and then boom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
luckily we were able to find a similar, or actually a larger size house right around the corner. So again, renting, but not the greatest experience with the landlords. Like again, under their control, but very inattentive as well. So it was kind of a struggle. So it wasn't until the beginning of 2020,
Like this
at the
time
very
last
beginning
year.
of 2020, where Steph said to me, I think we're in a position to start looking for a house. Like we've done very well with our own business, and I work for a bank, so I was kind of the stable, Steph's kind of the entrepreneur, and it kind of the balance has been really
Perfect,
great.
yeah.
Exactly. Okay. I just don't want to be the only guy. Exactly.
And that's
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
it like I'm trying to think the timing. Was it around this time that wasn't it early? Did we meet in
Was
November
December
or
that early? I don't know
It
what
was like right before Christmas, I think. But we had met in the April
Yeah.
Yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah, and we started chatting about you guys meeting Chris. It was around August, and then I
Okay.
think I connected you guys, and then it was like late fall. I feel like
Something
was
like
when you kind of started to get the ball rolling
Yeah.
on things. So
Wasn't
But I
that
feel
early?
like
I thought it was in the
was it
new year.
later?
I feel like we only looked at houses with you for a couple of weeks and we found something. Like I feel like it was so quick, and I know because Jason was so disappointed that your friendship
well then
was
Oh,
going
that
to come
ended.
to a close, and then
That
COVID hit.
hasn't been reinvented till
then
now.
COVID hit and it was like, oh my god, this is even worse because
You can't even see
I would
each
have
other.
to put like 6 packs
I
on
know,
your porch and be like,
That's right.
yeah.
I know.
It
No.
was crazy.
So
Yes.
what was it like for you guys, like deciding to move when kind of it must have been? Well, no, I guess you guys had already bought before COVID hit, right?
It was teetering on the edge of the
Yeah.
news
It
right
was
at
there.
that point.
It was there,
It was
but
in
there was
China.
no- yeah.
It was definitely something to be concerned about, but it hadn't kind of reached the kind of point of a global kind of pandemic yet. They hadn't announced a pandemic.
Yeah.
From the World
No.
Health Organization. So we were kind of like going through without any kind of real restrictions when we were looking at homes. There weren't making
There was
sure.
no mask.
No
we
mask,
had to wear
right.
that,
Exactly,
we
yeah.
had to
So-
sanitize.
It was the time frame of the
It was
closing
the-
of your home
yeah,
that
it
was
was when
like
we actually had to go
nerve
in.
wracking because it was April or something, wasn't
Well, when
it?
we went in for measurements,
when
it
did
was
you
like
close?
Yeah.
It was April or something.
The end of April.
I think
Yeah.
we went in twice.
twice we did.
Yeah.
Because we knew we were going to do some renovations between the time that we closed and we had 2 months between closing and when
And
we had to
moving.
leave the house that we were renting.
Yeah.
So we had to go back a couple of times
Yeah.
to check things out before working with the contractor.
But then
Yeah, but I mean, we were lucky. The homeowners were fine. They let us come in. Chris took us in.
We still had to
we
sanitize.
had masks
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
We sanitized.
Masks. We had to be careful.
Yeah, we didn't really touch too much, and we
No.
made it as quick as possible.
Yeah.
we only made out a couple times.
Yeah.
So it's,
Just together. It was a bubble.
It was a bubble,
I
exactly.
don't think we had bubbles at that time. Mask to
It was a
mask.
Chris Jason bubble.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
No, yeah, it was an interesting kind of thing because it was early days, so we didn't. Now we feel like pandemic veterans at this point, right?
course,
After
yeah,
9 months, but
yeah.
at that point you're like, okay, what are the rules? This feels really serious, so we were trepidatious about coming in, but like I said, comforted in the fact that both the owners and you were able to kind of communicate to us that everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Especially because we knew about the gap, and there was like we had to do renos, and then
Yeah.
it was like, can we get contractors during this time as well? And you recommended some nice people, and Steph had
Yeah,
some
that
great
was great
contacts.
having all those leads in terms of we used the guy that you recommended for the fence,
Yeah.
your window guy. I'm sure we'll use your roof guy next year. Hopefully not before then.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris always has a guy for something, you know? He's got a guy for everything.
No, that's helpful though, because like if you don't know anyone and we're not handy people yet ourselves,
When you haven't had to. When you rent, you don't
Yeah.
have to do windows, you don't have to do the roof.
Yeah.
That's the positive of renting.
Yeah,
Right?
so phone call.
Furnace breaks down, hey, come fix it. You know,
Yeah.
and we had an experience where it wasn't like that, and it wasn't that easy. It was our one time renting. Remember when we sold at the high of 2017, and I was like, and she didn't want to, and I'm like, let's do it.
We moved down the street.
And I'm like, let's move down
We're
the
on the same
street.
street.
There's a rental there. It's got a pool. Let's live there. Let the market kind of slow down, and then we'll buy again, and we'll get closer to the school. Whatever. So we ended up renting, and oh my.
It really does
I had
depend
to
on the
educate-
experience that you have with your landlord and
Absolutely.
the person that owns the home, and you know,
It was a-
nice enough lady, but she didn't.
They don't care. Right?
She didn't care.
When you get a landlord that doesn't care,
yeah.
because we ended up, what we did is we sold our house, but we still stayed in the market. We bought a house in Bradford, rented it out at a much lower price, so we were able to bank money. So we were landlords at that time, like because we had 2 tenants, right? And I said to the lady that we were renting to, I'm like, this is not how you do things. I shouldn't have to be paying.
Yeah.
Like they had a pool. The pool, I swear, there must have been at least 2 feet of like sludge, and it took me
It was awful.
days to clean it out, just digging it out, and then the filter wasn't working. The pump, I had to buy a new pump, new filter. It was just like things like that, right? That's where it's a
And I
negative.
find
If you
that
get
stressful
it,
too,
it is
right? Because you feel guilty for asking when it's within your rights to have
Absolutely.
everything functioning in the house,
Yeah.
and then to go out of pocket. So you can
Especially
enjoy
when you're
your pool
paying
in
a
the summer.
premium already to
Exactly.
have a pool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
And then we had the similar experience in the last house we rented where if something broke, we would call them, but it wouldn't. They would want to get their own contacts, and it took a timely basis. So I went for something else. So they fixed it. That was fine. It was a long time. So something else broke. It was the dryer, I think it was. And I was like, screw this. I'll just call the dryer guy myself,
Yeah.
and then I will pay for it, and then
Send them
them the bill. Nope, it wasn't. The bill wasn't right. It wasn't
Yeah.
detailed
Of course. So
enough.
they
and-
think that you like
I know,
are
yeah.
trying to.
and now I'm a dryer expert repair
Right.
guy, and I'm
I know.
like, I'm tacking
Yeah.
on 10%,
Yeah, right?
and I'm sliding in my pocket.
Yeah.
Like it just
I
trust.
just want to try clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
exactly.
asking
Yeah.
for. Like it's not, and that happened to us.
Yeah.
And then I think she even tried to blame it on us, like you're not doing something right.
we
Remember
weren't-
our washer broke
yeah,
down?
everything. Yeah.
Same kind of thing.
everything
When
was
with the
our
dryer, when the guy who came and fixed it, he's like, "This has not been serviced forever." You were like moments away from a dryer fire, and I'm like, "Oh, good, thank God you're here," and stuff like that. Tried to explain to the landlord. They were like, "Nope, I need a more detailed invoice." I'm like, "Oh, you know what? Next time I'm just gonna let the house burn down."
Yeah.
Right?
fault. Right.
Exactly. Good
Yeah.
for you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Way to
And
fight
see
for
how
that.
much
Yeah.
detail
Yeah.
you get
That's
then,
the
right?
thing.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah.
I've got clients that rent and
Sure.
things like that. And
Some can be great experiences too.
after what we went through, when we're leasing, it's almost not just an interview for the tenant, like the landlord to be like, "What's your credit score? What's this?" The tenant should interview the landlord a bit,
Yeah.
and I've
Yeah.
realized that you got to want to ask them, how many houses do you have? Where are you located? Have you done this before? What's the protocol? Like there's things that you should be asking the landlord. I realized that after, because we were just like, I don't know, everything gets fixed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time we've owned, so for us this was our first That was our first time renting.
I think there's a responsibility though too that a landlord should have to make sure that
Right.
the washer and dryer is in good working order and things are kind of up to date before they have new people move into their home.
Especially
it's
in
just
the
common
transition,
courtesy,
exactly.
right?
But it's a supply and demand thing too, right?
If they're just back to back people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they
want their
don't,
money.
and they don't care.
They don't want to transition. They want
Exactly.
a day of out, day of in. I
Mhm.
want my checks. I want, and
Yeah.
that's part, and that's okay. But I think there's a responsibility.
But when we got out
comes
of that,
along with it.
once we were out of that house and back into owning our own house, so I can only imagine how you guys felt. Like it was just like, oh, finally, like back to making decisions about things that we want to do now, and like having that sense of
Our own
control,
control.
right?
Yeah, so much better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with renting.
No.
All I'm saying is when you have a bad experience like that, it really does, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, right?
Yeah, and just to kind of like affirm that there are some good rental landlord positive stuff too. The house we came back after New Zealand, what we had for 5 years, he was amazing. Like
Yeah.
he was the owner of the
cared
house,
about
but
the
he lived in
house.
Mississauga, but he wanted to retire back to this house. So he the moment something went wrong, he was there the next day to fix it, like just making sure everything was done. And he welcomed some kind of responsibility from us about maintenance and stuff like that. But for the most part, if it was something semi-major, he was there taking care of it. So again, I don't want to just smash all
that's it,
landlords.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
It depends on situation, but it depends on situations with even with buying and selling too. Like
Yeah.
what did the people leave the house in too, right? So
Listen, let's take a quick break. Is
Sure.
that cool, guys? Let's take a
Absolutely.
quick
Yeah.
break and we'll,
Yeah.
we'll come back. Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
So, for those of you that are wondering where we are right now, we are in the Buzz 505 studio. This space is completely rentable if you're thinking about putting on a show for yourself. We're going behind the hooks right now. Buzz 505 studio features everything that you see here, except for Manny and I. We will not come with your podcast.
But I've been known to help other people with their own podcast.
Yeah.
Being an employee here also.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great space. It's very comfortable. I don't think this would be possible without this kind of space and being able to do something like this. So if you are interested in renting out this space, check out the Buzz 505 website. Check out Buzz 505's various podcasts that they produce here in-house. And don't be afraid to reach out. This is it's a great space. It's really cool to be here.
Yes, you'll enjoy the vibe. Buzz 505.
And we're back.
And we're back.
And we're back. But we're back. And where did we leave off? I think we left off kind of you guys were, you bought.
yes.
Okay, so now you've bought. Let's talk about that a little bit, right? Because we didn't really get to talk. Remember COVID? We were supposed to, do a bunch of stuff, and you guys were you're starting renovations, right?
Yeah.
So you get in the house, and you're doing the fence, you're doing a couple other things, but you had some pretty big plans inside too, for the most part.
Yeah.
I don't know how I saw some pictures, but let's go,
Yeah, because the house
I wanna
is
hear about
a
it.
very interesting layout,
Oh, it's
right?
I like
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
layout too. I love the
So
layout.
it's a really tiny house. Well, it looks tiny from the street.
It does.
The front part of the house is from 1858. And then the back part, which is the larger part, is from the 1980s.
So they
And
put
it's
an
really
addition.
like two houses, and I think it's actually zoned as a duplex if you want.
I think it is, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But still has two sets of stairs. We have two boys, 14 and 18. One's at university, but the younger guy's still there, and we kind of can close it off so he can almost
Do his
have
own thing.
his half of the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we did the fence, and inside we did.
You didn't take the stairs down, did you?
We
No.
didn't take the
I
stairs
know
down.
that was in. You were talking about doing that.
Well,
Stacey-
I think
Possibly
that
to give, yeah,
Her-
the
her-
designer.
one of
Designer
our
was
good
talking about
friends,
it, yeah. Your good
Stacey
friend's
McLennan,
designer.
is an interior designer. So we
Yeah.
work with her, and we kind of talked about that as an option. But that is a huge
It's a big
reno.
undertaking, yeah.
And we only wanted to do a few little things to start out with, because we knew that even though I wanted to work on the cosmetic stuff that we would be living with in the house, we knew that down the road there was going to be like some serious things that we need to fix.
Because
because
it's
of
an
the
old
age of the
house.
house.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing a couple of bathrooms. We created a dressing room, ripped out a closet, painted everywhere, took out some old ceiling tiles and put in pots.
Was that in that one of the rooms?
The front room.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took down all
The technically the
the.
living room, yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
We took down all the tiles, so flattened the ceilings, put pots, and did that in the dressing room as well.
Yeah. And,
We put in a new furnace 2 weeks ago on the older part of the house.
Because there's two furnaces,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
both
There's
Rads
two
and
furnaces.
Forster. Yeah.
And next spring we're hoping to, we're gonna have to do some foundational work and the front porch, so we wanna do the foundational work and the porch at the same time next spring.
Nice. Anything in the basement?
We checked the basement. Like I said, we've gone through a number of things because because it's an old place. You're worried about the water, right? And
And
come
bodies.
in
And bodies.
and bodies, exactly, and ghosts.
Dead bodies.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
What part of your basement does? I was like,
Well,
I
There's
mean,
one part that's nice though.
Yeah.
That one section, high
Yeah.
ceiling,
Yeah.
Absolutely,
It's all
ping pong
down there.
table.
ping pong, all
As
the
you know.
where the stairs come down, the one set of stairs.
That's the
That's-
witness.
yes,
That's
yeah.
the one. And that's like we said. Now we put everything against the wall, so nothing's on the floor. Because the people that we had in, because we're talking about the foundation, he's like, "Oh, it looks pretty good. They did a great job. Like it's old, but
Yeah.
you know, back in the day, they were like doubling up on everything like that." He's like, "The only way you're going to find out is in the spring if
Yeah.
there's
Right.
Let it all
so-
thaw,
exactly.
let it all.
Yeah.
So we're kind of waiting on that to see what we have to do. But like we've had numerous people in to check it out, and they've said, "Oh, you just gotta wait till the spring to see what
Yeah.
happens." And there was no indication from the previous owners that there was a tremendous amount of water issues in the basement, but you never know.
You never know.
Exactly, it's an old house. So. But we knew that going in, right? And it was part of the charm for us to actually make that decision too.
Yeah.
Because we had come from kind of the cookie cutter suburban
Exactly.
stuff. So
Yeah.
this
I
was
think sometimes
fair.
too, like, you guys would have had like a home inspector
They
go
did,
in,
yeah.
right?
We did.
I think
Yeah.
it
Most
was-
of the time they'll find if there's
was
any
brought up.
major.
Very-
It was brought up,
Yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
like again, you don't. It's really hard to tell
Right.
unless it's pouring rain during the inspection.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for them to tell. They can indicate certain things. Here's a crack here. Here's something here. They can usually, especially if it's finished, they'll do a thermal reading.
Mm-hmm.
This was unfinished, so but yeah, I think.
Oh, the inspector did a great job. He red flagged some stuff and
Yeah.
stuff we kind of
We
knew.
knew
It
what
was
we
like-
were getting
Yeah,
into.
he's flagged.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And literally it'll be like what box are we checking as we kind of go through the inspector's report of what we're going to do.
Well, and I think when we actually closed, firmed up, we actually amended the price too, based on
Absolutely.
certain things
Mhm.
that were
We came in low.
worried. You guys we were worried about, right?
Came in
I
low,
think
came
it was
back high.
$25,000 difference.
Difference, yeah.
In the end.
And
it
what
was-
were some of those things that kind of red flags?
Foundation.
The foundation.
It was
It's-
foundational for the most
Yeah.
part.
older furnaces, both of them
Yes.
were both old.
And roof is older too.
is older
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah,
we
so
kind of
there's
do
a
that.
few.
But even some of the other people that looked at the roof, there's like, well, it's not like horrific, like,
Yeah.
but we know at some point.
At some point you're going to.
And to us, it's going to add value when we put these
It
new
is.
things.
As long
in,
as
so.
you're not having leaking, because I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that's what happened with ours. That was another story with our rental. There literally water coming in from the ceiling in our bedroom, in the living room, and trying to get her to pay for the roof.
Safe to say we won't be renting again.
Well, we're hopeful that we
But
won't
stuff
be
like
either.
that matters though, right? Like you're mentioning the furnace, like we've had
It's a
clients
big
say, oh, well, like, should I get a new furnace before I'm gonna move? Well, yeah, you should, because
You'll
You
get
know,
those value. Those big ticket
yeah,
items.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
People
They're
want to
important.
have a new furnace when they move in.
Yeah, like I literally now will walk downstairs and look at the new
Oh,
furnace.
yeah.
Of
Because I'm
course.
excited about
You're
it.
taking selfies.
The difference?
with
Looks so
it.
nice.
Exactly. Compared to the other one, which I think was from like 1897,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
when it was like a coal thing it was thinking, right? So now I literally walk downstairs and I'm like, because the container's brand new, it's all mounted on
nice,
the wall.
it's clean.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
yeah.
exactly.
It's tight,
But I got a lawn chair
Oh, yeah,
next to it. I'm drinking beer, just watching our furnace now. Like, geez.
You're like this
That's
makes me
pandemic.
tractor at the farm. At least my beer's
Exactly.
These are the things that excite us during a
Pandemic,
pandemic.
exactly. Forget TV, I'm gonna watch the furnace.
Just bring the furnace home.
Exactly.
Listen to it, just purr.
That's right. Turn it up, honey, turn it up. No, it's been nice. Like I said, and we kind of knew, and I knew for Stephanie to be as comfortable, because you knew I loved it kind of right away.
Yeah.
And for Stephanie to get to a place where it was kind of this nice balance between contemporary and older, because
Yeah.
that she wanted to do these cosmetic things, and she's got such a fantastic design eye that I get the luxury of now
It's
things I was complaining from a
beautiful,
cost
yes,
perspective before.
yes.
I'm like,
Well, no, he was like, I mean, did we really have to do that powder room?
I know, well,
We
I
could have
think
just
you're-
got
I
the
know.
furnace
Gorgeous.
and
it is a gorgeous powder
I'm
room.
like, yes,
It
every
is.
time you go in there, Jason, you're
Yeah.
gonna love it.
To wash my hands is what you're saying.
He also loves
Did
the
you do
furnace.
anything with the master suite? Remember, there was just like this beautiful master.
Well, no, there was this tiny little closet,
Did you? I
You
think
took
so.
that out,
Took it out.
yeah.
And then.
and then closed off the door that went to the bathroom, and then
Because there's like a
gutted that
fake ensuite as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I guess you haven't been there.
I
I see. I have.
Shoots, yeah.
And I didn't
How
see
have
it
you been
before
there?
that because we had a
little-
valley get together.
It was safe.
It was in the summer.
Outside
Remember
and
that dip?
safe. We were never inside on the house tour. We were outside. all the time.
Exactly.
I
You were
was
in
doing
with
a-
the virtual.
Yes,
No, they were outside. Yes.
Exactly.
It just flipped through her Instagram. That's all it was.
Yeah,
No.
but no, I mean, we love the area.
Good.
That's what
Well, and it was
ultimately
close
sold
to-
us.
close to the
area.
Go.
It is a
Close.
really
It's
nice
funny to think about the GO train now when like I haven't stepped on the GO train
Oh,
since
right.
we bought the house.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a blended kind of hybrid model when we go back to work because I work for a bank in there. So it works out perfectly.
It'll still work out, and it
Absolutely.
doesn't matter because at some point it'll get back to normal.
Yeah,
And the value will be there also if you ever do go to sell of it being close to the
absolutely.
right?
And
So-
we're right around from Library Square now, which is being completely revamped.
Yeah.
They're doing, are obviously doing some sort of revitalization effort in the center of Aurora.
Yeah.
We are like 3 minutes from the center of Aurora.
Yeah, you're
Town
right in
Park,
the middle
oh yeah,
of it
Town
all.
Park's
Yeah.
been such a blessing.
Yeah.
The markets, we've used the Armory for, we've gone to see concerts there a couple
Yeah.
times during when the dips, the kind of pandemic safe concerts, and like I said, the dog walking in the morning and stuff like that. It's just been, we just love the age.
And you know what's nice about
trees
that
in the
area is a lot of the older homes, like I know here in Newmarket in this kind of area here, like a lot of people don't have major big yards, right? You guys have a
It's
really
deep.
big
It is
yard,
huge, exactly.
right? So you kind of lucked out in that sense, right?
Every
It's
time.
like an oasis,
Yeah.
and you can't
Yeah,
hear anything.
it is
in
an
the summer,
oasis
it's all
back there. It's
treed in.
beautiful.
It's beautiful, and
Got
it's
the water
perfect for a
feature.
pool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Every contractor that came in during the renovation would walk in the backyard and go, holy crap, man, you guys
Yeah.
have a huge
Yeah.
piece of land.
Yeah.
For where you are, like in the
Yeah.
center of
Yeah.
this particular
Yeah.
area,
Well, that's
they were
what
like
I mean.
remarkably surprised on how much kind of, how
It's
deep the
deep.
backyard
Yeah.
went.
It's
yeah.
very deep.
Yeah.
And it's not like really super narrow either.
No,
it's like,
no,
yeah.
yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
love the old homes in this area, but it turns me off that the yards are so small.
Right.
Some of them
right?
are. So there's some. There's
So you
some.
get
but
the
you
odd one, right?
That's a premium,
but,
right?
Yeah.
And then you pay a premium
Yeah.
at that. So, and you guys did well.
Yeah.
Looking at it now-
I feel like, yes.
Looking at it now,
Yes.
from when you bought it, you're probably already up at least a couple hundred, if not more.
I would think so too.
If not more. And I haven't seen it, and I'm just,
Steph looks at the comps all the time
Anyways.
now. Just exactly. And I'm like, I'm here for the rest of my life. I don't know what you're talking about.
We've already ordered this. It's going on.
I'll
Steph and I talked.
Exactly.
Middle of the night.
I'm surprised.
middle
Have to
of
find me
night,
for my
middle of night,
furnace
you're
chair.
having a chat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jason,
Whiteboarding.
get away from the furnace. We're selling.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is us. We move every 2 years. This is the longest we
This
have
is
been
the
in a
longest.
home.
But you've
for
just
a
done
long time.
like the hot tub, the
Yeah,
Well,
but I'm
we're
not
staying.
there.
We're
Yeah.
not going anywhere.
This we are staying now.
Yeah.
and
You got a basketball court in your
Yeah, we've
backyard.
got everything now.
Yeah,
And we've got a pool coming, so
Yeah.
we've
yeah.
decided this is it.
Yeah.
We moved. Well,
Stay honest.
We've been.
yeah,
we
we've
have.
moved
Well,
every 2 years.
it's because
Even when we lived in
Preston's
the
lived
city.
in 5 different homes, and he's 9.
Yeah.
So
We're
that.
about, we're about
Yeah.
every 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the longest he's had. That's why. That's
Yeah,
where that
it took us a
extension
year
is.
just to put picture frames on the wall because I've never been used to just
Yeah.
throwing them up there because I was like,
It's
I'll
hard.
Because you'd have to
Guys,
pack them in another 6 months.
It's not
Yeah.
easy. It's not easy looking at houses on a daily basis.
I know.
And then going,
Maybe I
I
could
really
say
like
that.
this. I
Mhm.
like this, or I like For me, I really like the older home, right? So, it's really It's really difficult.
he drives me crazy.
But we bought this
So you
house.
saw a really nice house, today. And I
Was this
cleaned
a new
it, and I'm
build, the
like,
house
oh
that
my
you're in?
God.
No.
No, but we renovated it.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was, and we bought
renovated
that.
it, yeah.
We bought it knowing we're gonna just, there's still things we have to do. Like
Yeah.
we have to
But
do
we
the
gutted the whole
basement,
main floor,
master
knocked down
bath.
walls.
We have to do a lot. Still, there's still work.
Oh yeah,
to
there's
do.
still
It's
lots.
never ending,
lots
though,
to
right?
do.
But I like that. That's
Yeah.
that's for us. We need that because that's what's gonna keep it interesting. We're
Exactly.
not.
Otherwise, you're going to want to move
Yeah.
again. Mhm.
Yeah. Right.
No, I grew up very much in, my parents did kind of house flip, kind of stuff like that. There was like 10 houses in 12 years kind of growing up, just kind of they buy, they had a good eye, so they renovate. My stepfather's very handy, so we did a lot of the work themselves. So they're trying to get in, and then we rented for a year, and then they bought again. It was kind of this mix and match. So I felt like we were going down that path. It was very, very familiar to me. And like I said, once we got to this comfort level, and I think you recognize how much my eyes kind of bounced out of my head when we got into this place. So I don't rule anything out because we get a little jumpy after a couple of years too, but like for the most part, until our youngest graduates high school, it's definitely where we're gonna stay.
I would think so.
Because he's going to high school in Aurora,
He's
right?
grade 9
so did
at
he
Aurora
switch
High.
over? Like, where was he when you guys were in King City? He was obviously at a different. They were at a different.
They were
Yeah,
at
the
Kettleby,
tiny Kettleby school.
and he was graduating grade 8 anyway, so he was
My
going to
eldest is
switch high
going
school.
to,
Okay.
yeah, and I bet you
Yeah.
there's some that were going to Aurora anyways. at
That's
that
where we
point.
wanted him to go because his older brother got to go there, but the catch area, if you didn't live in the catch area, you couldn't go there. So he was registered for another school, so when we moved, we're like, yes, he
Yeah,
can
now
go.
we
He can go to the
want
same
him,
school
yeah.
as his brother.
Yeah.
Same as his brother that went there, so
Yeah.
there's a little legacy stuff happening.
Yeah.
And he knew some people that were going there because of his brother too.
That's right. We talked about the whole legacy thing with his brother when
Yeah.
I was at your house.
How are they doing? Are they good? Like, are they playing? Did they play ball
Nah,
over the summer
Well,
at all?
Tassie
or
made a
anything?
really high-end team this year.
Like a prep
but
team out of
just
Scarborough,
ended.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So we were going down to Scarborough a couple of days a week for practices.
Yeah, this
and
is the
they
kind
were
of,
with the masks.
the organizations that like build you to try to get a scholarship to the United States. So it's like a full-on
That's
prep
good.
college. Yeah,
Wow,
it was
that's
really it was great.
exciting.
So was it just practice or any games? Any
No
scrimmage?
games.
Practice and no scrimmages either, like masks, drills.
Masks
Drills.
even while they're playing.
While
Yeah.
they're playing.
So that's kind of
And
challenging
then
too,
since
right?
the recent
That is-
lockdown, nothing.
Nothing now. Yeah.
So we
So-
hope it picks up. It goes to June, so we'll hopefully pick up. Maybe they'll get some back end games at the end of the season. But it's been really good training. It's like high end coaching and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
perfect.
We made the right decision for it. It was
Yeah,
more
that's
expensive
good.
this year, but and Hudson, he gave up on me kind of. He loves basketball, but hopefully
not the highest
highest level.
league.
No. Hopefully he'll play like at Jabril. He's at
Yeah.
Wilfrid Laurier, so
Yeah,
so
good.
he's got a.
Is he playing out there or?
I think he went and played against the Waterloo kids because I think there's a little bit of rivalry there. But they were playing outdoors at that point. There's
Yeah,
not a lot of
It's all
indoor stuff
virtual.
there.
There's
Yeah.
nothing happening.
Nothing on, yeah, everything's online. But he's home tomorrow and we're looking forward to seeing him.
Aw, that's nice.
Virtual school.
Yeah.
Imagine virtual university, virtual college. I don't know.
It,
That was
the
one of my
experience
greatest.
would just be totally different.
Well, and
We
he's
might
in,
not have met.
he's in residence too,
Virtually.
right? Like he can't have anyone to his
Oh.
dorm. And they're like militant about
Yeah,
it.
they've got Dons roaming the halls and everything, so
So what do they do?
they find ways.
I'm sure they do.
Masks.
It's still not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the big mass, like
Yeah.
especially in Waterloo and Laurier, the
Yeah.
King Street there, where they would
Oh,
just
yeah.
jam in 10,000 people for like St. Patrick's Day.
Absolutely.
It's not the same thing. So they find their own little mini bubbles, like the 10 and under kind of thing.
Yeah.
Going to parties. He's met some people. He's now out of residence for next semester. He rented an apartment with 4 other guys, so that'll be different because it won't be as monitored as much.
Yeah.
And that's a weird thing from a parental point of view because you're like, the health wise, it was great because now he's going to be a little more freedom, and he's actually spent a considerable amount of more time on academics, which we thought that was a frickin' dice roll. But now he's been done well, so
Yeah.
he's like, and so, but we don't know how distraction will be when he's now
When
got
he's with
4
the-
guys and
Yeah.
and
It
he
can
only had one
change.
other roommate. Could change, but
It could.
they're all business majors, so hopefully there'll be a little bit more.
They all work together, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Hudson's in comms, but they're in business, so we'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, I have faith that he got an okay experience. First couple weeks were a little bit dicey because he felt like prison.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Why am I not just at home?"
Right.
And we're like, "No, leg it out." And then came home for Thanksgiving. And after that, he was like, "No,
I don't
the
want
freedom is still
It's still nice.
it's still nice to have the freedom.
Even though you're not doing everything you would normally be doing.
You're still not
Yeah.
answering to your parents. And
No.
clean up your room or
Oh, yeah.
put the bong away, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
You do whatever you want.
exactly. So.
Stay up till 2, 3, whatever. You don't have everyone. No worries.
Don't worry, Hudson. They'll edit that out.
They'll edit that.
I mean, Stephen.
So what what's next on the renovations? You guys gonna?
I think we're gonna do the foundation and the
Yeah.
porch because
Yeah.
they're both
Yeah.
falling down. So
Like the porch in the front, like that
Yeah.
little.
yeah, well, so right now it's enclosed and tiny, but I'm hoping that we can get a permit to span
Extend
the
it.
full width of the
gosh.
house and just keep it open.
Mhm.
Everyone in that neighborhood has like
A lot of porch
amazing
envy going on there.
curb
Yeah.
appeal, great
Beautiful
porches, and
porches.
we gotta like step it up a
Love
little
a
bit.
front porch.
Where are you gonna hide though?
I know that's how I've been actually using them. Nice little front porch. I've got a heater.
Completely covered. You look at the window.
So Frances, our dog, sits out there with me, and I
Oh,
put it-
Pretty.
Crazy. She's crazy barky.
Oh,
So she
pretty.
terrorizes everybody who walks by.
It's a nervous bark. It's not aggressive. But yeah, it's been actually I do like the front porch like that. But like I said, I can understand the openness and having a really nice place to sit. It's very neighborly, right?
Yeah,
So-
it is.
Do
Absolutely.
you find a lot of your neighbors have been in that area for a long time, or is there?
I think
Yes,
it's a
and
mi-
they know everything that goes on.
But I
Of
think there's
course.
a switching over. There's a lot of tear downs and new builds coming
Yeah.
up there in that area right now. Some
Yeah.
big
A lot
honking
of
ones
additions, too.
A lot of additions too,
Yeah.
where they keep the core because there are a lot of like 100 or heritage homes there, right?
Well, that's
yeah,
it.
exactly. So, but they're building huge additions
Yeah.
around there.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, now like we've seen just in the last since we've lived there, like a couple tear downs, a couple rebuilds, a lot of we watched the renos go up because we walk the dog every day and
Yeah.
see it kind of the transition. But you can see, yeah, a lot of people have lived there for a long time, but there seems to be now a love for that kind of oldness, the same kind of
Yeah.
houses that we like, and just doing the touches
Doing
they
some
need.
touch-ups
to
and
renos.
renovations.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, guys, listen. Thank you so much for coming. Honestly, like, it was amazing.
It's amazing how fast
This is fun. I don't want to go.
I know.
I wanna go.
3 hours has come by. I'm gone. Okay.
And I've got to get back to my furnace.
And we were supposed to go out for a drink, and we can't even do
Exactly.
that.
Lockdown, I know.
That's why I was like, maybe I'll bring them. I gotta actually check with them on what's the protocols because I think you gotta watch what you do. But,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
honestly, we really appreciate it.
I have
Um,
something for you guys in the
and-
car too, so
One-
don't
our
leave
pleasure.
me without it.
A
Once
roadie, honey.
lockdown is done, we need to make sure we set up some time.
Absolutely.
We would love
we can't
that.
wait.
No.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We have. That's the thing, right? We've got some time we can spare, but I don't know where we were supposed to.
I
Where
know.
we can go, right?
Yeah.
We can go under the bridge. That's where when I was a kid, I used to drink under there, just under the bridge on Queen Street.
So actually,
Your
there's-
name's
there's
carved
a
in
police
there.
car over there right now, so we might not want to do that. Right now.
No, but like I said, I can't tell you how much it was. The experience dealing with you, the whole thing. Obviously, we became very fast friends.
Yeah.
It was such a great because you
Yeah,
guys, like I said, you guys were in friggin' across the world together.
I
so.
know, and that was like
Crazy.
an experience
Crazy for you
that
and
it's hard to
crazy for
even
me.
put into words, right? Like, imagine
Yeah.
just like sitting there, because I think the day that you and I started to really get to like know each other and have conversations was when we were sitting. Remember, we were in that hot spring
Yeah,
when we went for that day trip,
yeah.
and we just got talking and this and that. And then I remember at that point you were like, "Yeah, I think we might buy something," and I was like, "Oh, you should talk to Chris." Anyways, it's just funny, and then here we are,
Good job,
right? Like
Exactly.
it's just so
Across the
funny.
world.
Across the world,
It's
still
It's just so
plugging.
funny how things just happen, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's meant to be, right?
Yeah.
It is. I can tell. Like I said, the relationship will obviously go
It was-
beyond just that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was instant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
guys.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Okay.
being here with us.
Okay. Cheers.
Okay. So we'll see you guys again soon.
Yeah.
We have some great ideas coming up in the new year for some podcast shows. But again, if you have any show ideas or comments, please reach out to us. But we appreciate you tuning in and listening.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay,
Happy
guys.
holidays,
Okay.
guys.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
This is gonna air after the holidays.